This is Matt. He's not being very vocal right now. He's not even ready to go, but we'll kind of show you what he's already been doing. Matt's going to show you more of like a scroll style pinstriping. It's more common on, what would you say, semi-trucks, lowriders,
yeah,
etc., etc.
Yeah, that is a wash pot now. So
this is a similar panel to what we were just working on.
Actually, it's like...
Yeah. It's pretty much the same.
It's the same.
But
if anyone's been to Culture Crash, that's what it looks like.
So Matt has drawn up his own little scroll design here on a piece of paper. And you're thinking, wait a minute, that's not paint. And then he's used this transfer paper. It kind of works like a carbon copy between the design and the panel, and he's just traced that on there, and then that allows him to follow his own design. He uses this a lot with his sign painting designs that he'll do on cars and so on.
Logos and stuff. To do logos, draw it up on paper and lay it out.
That way it goes on exactly the way you want it.
Yeah, then you're not... Because those grease pencils can kind of scratch a little bit if you're really sketching on it, wiping it off, and sketching on the car. That's why a lot of guys only do like a single line down the middle of it too, instead of putting the whole grid on. Because if you're really not careful, it can kind of scratch.
And then you'll end up seeing like little grid lines in a really nice show car.
Yeah.
So
I've done it. I don't want to do it again.
The line down the middle kind of ends up getting lost in the design, so little things you learn as you go.
I was going to...
Okay, Matt's ready to paint now.
Okay, so here we are. I'm going to start with the same brush that Layne used, or Layne.
Layne's going to help put this video together.
Scotty used, and I'm going to run a teardrop down the middle of this first.
Which, if you know Matt, he very rarely uses this style of brush.
Just long lines, mostly.
Now, a little different than Scotty did. When I palette my brush, I use the side of the can here. Learned how to do it painting signs. It's just the way I'm comfortable doing it.
Where'd you learn how to paint signs?
I picked it up somewhere along the road there.
During the Great Depression?
During the Great Depression, yes, thank you. I am not quite that old, but...
Matt's not that old.
Go. Okay, so the centerpiece on something maybe like a lowrider or something. Put that down the center, and then I'm going to move to a scrolling type brush. This one here is a Vortex. Doesn't say it on. Oh, it does. Wizard Vortex.
It's round.
Yeah. So it's got a little shorter hair, and it comes to basically comes round in the... Sorry, I got a cat hair on it.
Doesn't quite come to a point like the other brush does.
Almost to a point, but not quite.
Yeah. It's a little more rounded. So they'll call this brush like a sword brush.
Because it's flat.
And there's similar brushes referred to as daggers, and you can tell because it kind of looks like a little knife. But
this one, I'm just going to get my paint the right consistency. And this is the only thing I told Scotty. You palette it until you think you're ready. You got the right consistency, and then you do it again.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about this just yesterday. Some people, they always ask us, how do you get so good and stuff? And most of the battle is getting the paint the right consistency and making sure to use the right brush.
I mentioned earlier that Andy was one of the first people I met. At that point, I was just kind of mixing paint however I thought I needed to. And watching him stripe at the Steel Days show that time was when I saw him palleting his brush to get that consistency on a magazine like that. So that's probably part of why I started doing that. But I noticed a big difference in being able to control the thickness and keep the thickness of my lines a lot closer together, because to that point I had lines that would be really thick, and then I'd try to do that same line on the other side and it'd be really thin. And you know, you find what works for you, whether it's in the can or on a magazine, or a lot of the old timers, and even some guys today will just do it with their fingers. I couldn't do it. I'd get too much paint everywhere.
Yeah. I've tried it. Works okay, but it's probably not the best thing for you with all the chemicals and stuff in the paint.
Yeah. So through the years, I've tried to find a scroll design that I like, and my dad did a lot of scrolls, and that's where I learned how to do it. And I mean, that was his style. You know, we did a lot of fleet trucks. We'd letter them, and then we'd put pinstripes on them. And I saw one the other day, followed him into the Walmart parking lot on a truck that I had striped in 1992, and it was a horrible design. But I've been looking at stuff, and I've taken people their stuff I liked. Frank Fallon was a big influence when I finally met him, and then Jeff Dastrup and Keith Eccles for sure. And then I was going to get to that one, Josh. Oh. And that was a lot of this design here. I was working at a body shop touching up some lines, and lo and behold, who had done it? It was Bruno Perry, and I really liked it, and I incorporated some of those and found something I like a little bit better now. So I'm sure that'll change in the near future, though, you know.
So what you're saying is not everything you've done's been perfect, or you don't love everything you've done?
I love everything I've done. Usually that's the kiss of death, right? If I really like it, then the customer's like, well, it's okay, but usually it has to do more with color than the actual design. But something that I really, really like, and I'm proud that I did it, and the customer kind of is iffy on it. They're like, yeah, it's all right. But if it's questionable to me, then for whatever reason, people seem to like it. So the reason using a brush like this is that, as you can see, it comes to a point here, and I can turn it a full circle without turning the brush and without having to skip. And also you can see you can go thicker and thinner just by how hard you push on the brush.
It's got a little longer handle too.
Yes.
It's easier to grab.
You can get a little further away, so it's easier to make a big loop.
And that's kind of a big part of this style, is you'll see a lot of transitions from thick to thin in the same line as it goes through the different loops.
Yeah.
Where with more the hot rod style, where it's really sharp and jagged, you will see some guys that do thicker and thinner lines, but it's not necessarily to the extreme that you'll see with some of the scroll work.
Yeah.
But you notice too, he's doing the hand over hand. Could use a maul stick or something too. That helps get the brush up away from the panel, so that he's just using just the tip to get those thin lines.
Yeah.
In the circles he's doing.
Yeah. So that's
gives a little more mobility.
Okay.
first color there. We'll move on.
So that's it for that panel, and we'll be back to it. Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Here's Matt gonna throw
Some accents in here.
second color on his scrolling panel.
Man, Cindy's killing a dog in here.
Sorry. You can't say that.
No animals were harmed in the filming of this video.
That's not true. No animals were killed.
Yeah, I think she stepped on her foot.
I think it
Oh.
scared her.
Do you have anything to say about this, Matt?
Not really. I'm just gonna put a couple of different types of accents in here, different spots. Last night I was working on a car and I put the first color on the night before so that I could test and see where I liked my accents to be, and I must have wiped those accents off 3 or 4 times, maybe more, until I got ones that I liked. So these are going to go on, and they're just going to stay because, well, because I'm putting it over wet paint. You can see there's a couple of different shapes on the tops of those. So this is what I say. This one, like this, where it's just round on the top, more of a cowboy looking sort of, put on a pickup.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if you start doing it on more of a low rider, kind of make a more of a sharp top on it here. Just a little bit different shape for whatever reason. Seem to like those different styles like that. We'll do some that just go. It's like that paint's getting a little thick. Does not want to make a sharp point to it. Can you see that part where I put the brush in the wrong spot? Oh, good. Not too bad. Putting lots of extra accents on this, more than I would on a regular one, but
If you hear Matt talk about scroll work, he'll usually say, more is more.
well,
At least that's what he's told me.
that was what, yeah, that's definitely what my dad felt. He always thought that as far as pinstriping go, the more the better, for sure.
Must be where I get it from.
Maybe. Well, that's all I'm going to put on there. So, there you go.